When you think of LEGO space, three things probably come to mind. First of which are the astronauts, second of which are the spaceships, and third of which, of course, are the space bases. Prior to 1978, there weren't a whole lot of LEGO space sets. They were kind of one-off novelties released here and there, but in 1978, along with the introduction of the LEGO minifigure, we got our first proper solidified space theme. And that, of course, is what we now call classic space. Hello, I'm editing right now, and I just realized I made a pretty big oopsie, and I completely forgot to mention that the guy who designed these sets is not only one of the most prolific LEGO designers in LEGO history, I believe. I think he started from 1968 and retired in the year 2000. Not only did he design so many of the classic LEGO space sets, he's also the guy that designed the LEGO minifigure. Somehow this went completely over my head, thought it was worth bringing up. I'm going to go more in detail with a proper script in a future video, though I just wanted to inform you here and hope you enjoy the rest of the video. And with that, it's time to introduce the subject of today's video. The Alpha 1 rocket base in the Space Command Center, both released of course in 1978. As the name suggests, the Alpha 1 rocket base houses a rocket. The rocket is made into two parts. The first base is the actual rocket itself, which is made of largely black and white cylindrical pieces, and then you have the little satellite that is mounted on top. The main play pattern introduced in this playset is fueling and launching your rocket. It has this very cute little rover with a trailer that has a fuel tank. On this fuel tank are these little rubber hoses that can be connected to these really cool faucet pieces on the base. Once you close the valves and are done refueling your rocket, you can then collapse the tower holding your rocket up and prepare for liftoff. I guess no, you commence liftoff. You'd already have been preparing for it. Once your satellite is launched and sent into orbit, you have this small little communications station, complete with a communications dish on top and plenty of screens and buttons on the inside to roleplay communicating with whoever, whatever you want. Yeah, I think this is a pretty sick set, especially at the time. The play pattern is simple but repeatable, and you can really do a lot with it. You can imagine so many different places where your rocket could go, so many different places to explore. You can even imagine minifigs getting on it, if you will, and kind of having your own little space missions. Plus, there are a lot of really basic brick in this set, but a lot of very useful brick. You can take this apart and make plenty of really awesome alternative builds. Speaking of alternative builds, this brings us to the Space Command Center, which I'm very fortunate to have the original box to. In addition to the awesome art on the front, we also get some awesome alternative build suggestions on the back. Also, a little bit more goodies on the flap inside. As far as this set goes, its purpose is a little bit less directly in your face. It's a little bit more up to the user's imagination. The interior has quite a few little special gifts in it, most notably this massive panel piece with this super large and detailed print on it, which would feel deluxe even in a set today. It's just pretty amazing to me that they had the printing capabilities to make a print this cool back then. And then the communication aspect of the base comes in, where you have these little antenna pieces that are infamous in the LEGO space and vintage LEGO community in general for being super fragile and not very durable, which is why I'm so thankful to have two of them in pretty good shape. Along with that, we of course have the massive dish on the front and another smaller one on this little overhang to the side. And of course, we have to shout out the trans yellow plates that are introduced in both of these sets. This set also has its fair share of rovers. We get two rovers in this set, the first of which is just the cutest, smallest, most classic little rover you could possibly ask for. The second of which, its purpose is a little bit less straightforward. When I look at it, it might look like a video camera. Maybe it's taking in different wavelengths of light, scanning the surface, getting kind of geometric readings. I don't know. It could be a bunch of stuff, so let me know what you think it does in the comments. And that's kind of one of the cool things about this set. A lot of its purpose is very much so left up to the imagination. The prints and all the communication dishes definitely give you an idea of kind of what it might be doing, but it doesn't really throw it in your face. Of course, the cherry on top of these two sets are the crater base plates. Not only do these give you a lot of studs to help kind of expand your scene, your classic space scene, but it also gives you just that little bit of terrain, which I can imagine really can improve a child's immersion, especially if they're playing on a very flat surface. They still have that little bump to run their rovers over. Last up, but certainly not least, are the astronauts themselves. These little folks do a great job at being very recognizable. You look at them, you're like, hey, that's a spaceman. And that's kind of the beauty of classic Lego. They really, they encapsulated the really basic ideas and kind of let your imagination fill in the rest. You can see these, be like, hey, that's an astronaut, but these parts are also simple enough that they can be interchanged with a lot of figures in a lot of different scenes. You can use the space torsos as like a decorative t-shirt. You can use the helmet as a racing helmet. Maybe you can use the air tanks as like scuba gear or for your firemen. There's a lot of different possibilities. And folks, these were the two very first Lego space bases released all the way back in 1978. Let me know your thoughts on these sets, how Lego has evolved since, if you think these may even have some improvements over modern Lego sets. Of course, all that junk are all great discussions to go in the comments, and with that, I'll talk to y'all again soon.